Hello, and welcome back. My name is Ash. Typically, I'm a warlock, do stuff like that. If you don't already think I'm crazy, you're about to. I'm gonna propose something super crazy. And, if you give me half an hour, possibly, maybe longer, we'll see. I might be able to, convince you of something super crazy. I feel it welling up in my gut. Like I don't want to talk about it. Because, again, I'm going to be perceived as super duper crazy. But hear me out. Flat Earth. I just. Admitting those words just turns my stomach. But that's because back in the days, I had the image of literally you sailing off the edge of the map, like there's nothing there. And that's what I thought it was. It's like, well, no, that doesn't make any sense. But I actually saw some things and it triggered some other things, and basically, I looked it up, and I believe the actual flat Earth is based on. You know what? I'm actually gonna. I can't Google search it. I should have done better notes, but the idea of flat Earth is Earth is flat and we are living in a 3D construct. And I'm just like, wait. I know we live in a 3D construct. Let's search this a bit. And as I started researching it, things started popping up. And I'm being very cryptic because I'm trying to put it in a way like, if I just give you the information in random splits, it doesn't make sense. So I'm leading you down a specific train of thought. And I actually had to write notes. So, turns out the Earth is flat. But also 3D. A little confusing, I know. So let's Alright, we're just gonna come out with it. This is Earth. This is Earth. This is the true face of Earth. Now that you think I'm absolutely batshit crazy, let's talk about it. Okay. But Adam, didn't you say that life is 3D and everything is a hologram and everything's made out of light? So really, the third dimension is actually virtual reality? Yes. So we've already talked about it before in certain videos. That as of this day and age, it is not speculation, it has been proven. Everything is made out of light. Light particles. It's just very, very dense. The magnetic field that the atoms generate from bouncing around creates an electrical disturbance which prevents you from phasing through objects, thus presenting us matter and density. Essentially, I'm gonna have to put down my coffee so I don't spill it. Particles are moving so fast that you try to put your finger in there and it's fuck! You're like, whoa, okay. Layman terms. Particles moving too fast. Can't touch this. So your fingers can't phase through it. But if the particles were to sit still, your hand would phase right through that bitch. Because all the extra space in between, you'd just be like, oh, just gonna. Okay. So the world, the 3D, is made out of light, despite it being dense. Okay? So what does that mean? Do we just live in some kind of virtual reality helmet? Are we plugged into the Matrix kind of like everyone thinks? And we're secretly our bodies laying somewhere else? No. No. In fact, I'm not even going off the notes anymore. Let me see. Let me try to put it together. My entire cup of coffee just spilled out into my cup holder. Because my cup of coffee doesn't fit in the cup holder. And I knew that, and I did it anyways. Now I have a black sea in my cup holder. Gonna put that out of my brain for now. So let's explain it this way. In Star Trek, they have something called holodeck, which is literally a room, oh my god, a room that condenses light particles into matter. Okay? So you walk into this room, that's a grid-line structure, and all of a sudden, all of this stuff just materializes out of nowhere. What is it? It is light protons being constricted and condensed. So essentially, the ship can produce worlds out of nothing. And the way it works is you are the center point, and the world forms around you. And I'm not talking about reality, although it's kind of the same thing. I'm talking about the holodeck. So you stand in one fixed point, you never left the room, but the entire world generates around you. Okay? Now this is where I'm going to start getting creative. There's an anime called Monster Hunter. It's an old Monster Ranchers, sorry. Monster Hunter is a game. Monster Ranchers is the show. And in that show, it was actually based off a game. But anyways. The concept is these creatures live in ancient discs. They're like an inch-thick metal relic disc. And this character is going around and collecting these discs and plugging it into a projector. And they click it, and this disc actually morphs. Like, it doesn't just project, like the disc in the show actually morphs into a creature. But it's always random. So essentially, they have a disc that becomes a 3D entity. Okay? So I'm like, oh, wait. Hold on. It's kind of starting to connect dots here that typically aren't connected. Let's see where this path goes. And if I haven't completely lost you yet, I do have pictures. And I use a lot of anime and cartoons and stuff as reference points because for a lot of people it's a connection point too. A lot of people watch anime, and the animes I'm talking about you may have seen. But it's the easiest way for me to visualize and represent what I'm trying to get across. I'm talking about some really weird esoteric stuff, and I'm actually coming up and remembering patterns of it in certain TV shows. Like, for instance, okay, so let's pretend flat Earth, and then there's that theory that there's a giant ice wall around the Earth, and that's what's preventing us from sailing off the edge. Well, there's also an anime that suggested that. And we're not even going to talk about that one. It's called Broken Arrow. If you want to go see it, though, because that one's really esoteric. That one's about an entity coming down to the planet just to find out it's a isolated sphere. So it's not even a planet. It's like one realm. It's like a realm. It's like a fixed location and point. It's like you were to take your apartment and set it in just a vacuum of space. They'd realize their planet was literally just one terrain. It was one flat circle. And they had this giant ice wall. And they found out the ice wall is actually a metaphysical construct. So they managed to push beyond the wall, and guess what? They met God. I'm not joking, this isn't anime. Okay? So now we go back and talk to Instagram. There was a reel that I kept seeing. This guy got detained or something because he said he came from the ice wall. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, oh, I came from the other side of the ice wall. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? What ice wall? Okay, so within this disc, there are layers. As you can see, and yes, it's the wedding singer, I'm a nerd. As you can see, this ring actually could represent our inner disc, our inner layer. So then, secretly, there's all this space out here we don't know nothing about. No man's land is what we're told. In fact, we're told it doesn't even exist. Okay? Let's get even crazier. The reason I believe this is the case is because I started having spiritual messaging. And the problem is I can't prove any of this. This is all speculation. Like, I don't actually have any proof. I can't prove this. It's just a knowing. I started seeing images and all of a sudden dots just started connecting. I'm like, wait, where is this even coming from? This is a diagram of the Tree of Life, Yggdrasil. As you can see, just like in the Nordic text, you can kind of see because there's a reflection. It's a tree that is going through a plane, a flat surface. And then the tree reaches through the surface and above, representing the three dimensions: hell, earth, and heaven. But what if it was real? What if it's really a plane? Because they say it's a tree of life. Well, guess what? There's multiple dimensions. So what if there's multiple discs stacked up on this tree in layers? I'm getting off topic here. But if you've read the Emerald Tablets, or if you know anything about alchemy, as above, so below. As above, so below. As above, so below. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next one. This one was an actual diagram of what flat Earth perceived to be. I know you can't really see because of the reflection, but you clearly see it's a flat plane with what looks to be Earth in a giant sphere. And around this sphere are the astrological signs. Okay, we're going to focus on this image a lot more. So the above, you can see the bubble. Okay. I'm trying to find a way to present this that it makes sense, the best way I can. Because right now it's a lot of information jumping around up here. So now we're going to jump to an anime called Dragon Ball Super. To extend the franchise, they made universes. 1 through 7. You ready for this? 1 through 7. There are 7 mega universes in the universe. Currently. Mega universes. Just like Dragon Ball Z proposed. Because then within this universe, there are multiple universes. Going back to the disc. So, you've seen pictures of our galaxies. What do they look like? Giant swirling vortexes. And they're flat. Kind of like a disc. Okay. And since we store data on disks, imagine our bubble with thousands and thousands and thousands of these disks, which are essentially just recorded information. Okay. So now we have these bubbles. I even drew a diagram to kind of illustrate what I thought it was. But now we have these bubbles. Okay, I'm totally going off my notes. We're just channeling as of this point. So now you got this bubble. And if you read the Bible, and you've seen the picture, they talk about Earth having 2 oceans. The one below and the one above. There's water on the Earth, and then there's water surrounding the Earth. The sky. The sky. When in reality, it is actually projection of consciousness. The water outside is consciousness itself. And that is why when we ping certain information, it is reflected back to the universe. It hits the water bubble outside of our world. It hits the water bubble and resonates and then magnifies and amplifies back, but at the same time as shooting a beam into the cosmos. So whatever we're resonating is being refracted off this ocean, this bubble of light, this bubble of water, and it's being bounced back to us. That is how light is working. Light is filtering through the water, but you don't see anything else. Because the water is a reflection, they're also using it as a two-way mirror. Okay. Now let's get super crazy. This is the actual diagram of our Earth. That is what it really looks like. My theory behind this, have you seen a cartography table? I don't know what the actual thing is, but it's a globe. And then you have two round... Fuck, what do you call those? Rods? Round rods. Normally they're wooden. And they have degrees. So that way you can tell longitude and latitude. And you can actually move them. It's like a full cartographer tool or something. And, so you have these two rods that are the X and the Y axis, or the longitude and the latitude, which helps create the systemic grid of our world, the 3D world. But what if, and get this, what if along one of those rods, one of the, what is it called? Gimbals? One of the gimbals, what if instead of longitude and latitude, you put astrology and the planets? So astrology and the planets are kind of the same. Sort of. No, there's 12 astrology, but there's only like 7 planets. How does that make any sense? That's gotta be... Anyways, I'm not an astrology person, but what if you took the astrological symbols and you put it along the gimbal? And then you took the planets and time, or something like that, and put it on the other gimbal. Well, now you get a cosmic measuring scale. It's not just used to measure time, it's used to measure energy and cosmic vibes. And guess what? This is where it's going to get really crazy. In this image, you can kind of see there's a force on top and a force down below. The hole above and below, so what's being projected out and one's being projected through. Well, what is the same thing a wormhole? It's a singularity point that connects the two energies together. So when they talk about a spiral, that spiral is the energy that's drilling through our core. And when I say drilling through our core, I mean, on this one, there's a rod that goes through the middle of the disc. So there is a spiraling energy that our disc is spinning on. That spiral spins in one direction, down, or clockwise. No, actually it spins counterclockwise. Because if the Earth spins clockwise, that spins counterclockwise. The resistance, essentially female-male energy, the resistance of the rod in the middle of the disc is actually causing the gravity. And you're like, well, how does that make sense? If we're on a 3D surface, and you're saying gravity is pulling down, not drawing inward, well, how does that make sense? Let's put it this way. This Earth, the 3D Earth, is actually hollow. There is nothing inside. Since it is a 3D energetic construct, you don't actually need a core. The rules of physics actually completely go out the window, because the rules of physics are now compounded down to a code. So, for instance, if you've seen The Truman Show with Jim Carrey, in that dome, within that specific space, they could summon the sun at any time they wanted. They had a mechanism that would trigger the sun, and they actually had to dial it. So at one scene, they're trying to find him in the middle of the night, and they pull a risky move and they cue the sun at what's supposed to be midnight. So everyone's like, what the hell? You know, they see the sun in the middle of the night. They knew what was going on, but basically, what I'm trying to get to is the weather, the atmosphere, they're all controlled variables. So you don't need a core of the planet to control the Earth, because they're controlling it with energetic coding. In fact, this is the whole point I was trying to get to. The Earth is a 2D disk being put into a 4th dimensional computer, or a video game console, that is then turning it on and projecting a 3D image. And we live in that 3D image. That is why our body, when it dies, it can't go with us, because it's a part of this construct. Well, okay, that's the base knowledge. There is a way to take your body with you, but we'll talk about that in another episode. But so consider that. So if this rod really is in the middle of the planet, and it's spinning, and the spinning against the middle of the planet. So if the rod's spinning, it's causing resistance, which is actually causing a gravitational pull downwards because it's moving the opposite direction of the planet. So the gravitational pull actually pulls essentially everything down onto this flat surface. So what's happening is those physics are being translated to Earth. So there is really no core of Earth. What the core of Earth is more space. There are entities that live down there. Okay? It's essentially a deeper housing unit for other entities. And we're just told there's magma. Now this is where it gets super crazy. Okay, so if we have that force drilling down, which is creating gravity, then the 3D world may not actually be spinning. It is the whole countermeasure itself. Even the projector is spinning. That just came to me. I don't know why I said the projector's spinning, but I even feel like the projector is also spinning. Because everything is a constant state of flux. So that must mean the projector is moving as well. But there is something I did want to bring up to you and consider. There is a parallel universe we don't know about. Or we do know about and we're not talking about. Because as you can see in the image, again, like I said, if the rod is causing resistance and dragging it down, let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. On this disc, you can clearly see it's a one-sided disc. That means the information is on the bottom. However, that's what it means for Earth. The information's on the top. But what if, consider this, there are DVDs that have two sides. You can actually flip side A and side B. You can flip side A and side B, and they have different features and different data on the disc. What I'm trying to say is the upside down exists. Because you can't have the top half without having the bottom half. Okay? So if we are the top half of reality, there is a bottom half of reality that we're not being told about. I am absolutely figuring the crap out of this disc. That's okay. It was $2. So, yeah, okay. If I haven't convinced you yet, let's see what else I got in my notes. Back Arrow, not Broken Arrow. Back Arrow was the show. Second disc of astrology, cleaning. Oh, interesting. Okay, so now here's another interesting proposal. This actually came to me. For those who know, supposedly if you learned about the whole New Earth and Old Earth and all that jazz, what if this spinning disc system is actually a cleansing system? And I don't mean like purge, although it's kind of the same thing. But it's like, what was the tool? There was a tool that you span it really fast and it would get clean. Basically, like for instance, if you put paint on a spinning disc, it flips the paint off of the disc. Where was I going with that? Cleaning system. So, what if this magnetic resistance is actually drawing out the two worlds? Say, for instance, because they say that, Earth is supposed to split into a higher dimension and a lower dimension. What if the disk spinning and causing resistance is actually, in a way, pulling out the negativity? Kind of like, the best thing I can imagine is using a magnet to get, like, lead out of your body. Say, for instance, for some reason you have a bunch of, like, shrapnel lead. You could take a magnet and kind of, like, lead it out of your body. And bit by bit, you're using it and pulling it out of your pores. Kind of like Reiki. Reiki energy, you can literally pull energy out of the person's body. Wow. So what if that is also the catalyst to cleaning the Earth? God, that is going to bug me so much. I have to clean up. I have to clean this up. Anyways. I think I've pretty much talked about everything I wanted to. There is more. Oh, okay. There is one more thing I want to tell you about. We're not even going to talk about the toroidal field and the warp bubbles. But I am going to talk about there's also no planets. This is where it gets even crazier. I don't believe the planets exist. They are also an idea or a construct just like astrology. The energies exist, but for it to be a physical, tangible place is not true. So, again, it's the planets are used as a measurement. Well, basically, a cosmic measuring system. They don't exist. That's why there are 7 planets, just like 7 chakras. As opposed to astrology, when there are 12 zodiac signs but 7 planets. Because that actually reflects back the 7 chakras inside of you. So the solar system is essentially a smaller scale you, or a bigger scale you, is what I meant to say. So the solar system is just a reflection of an idea of what's inside of you. So the planets don't exist. They're not real. You're like, well, Adam, what about all these pictures that NASA produces and all this other crazy stuff? Well, let's jump back into the idea that Earth is a video game. That it's a image, a video game disc being played in a projector. Well, the theory behind that is, today, nowadays, we are literally creating virtual reality that is almost indistinguishable between our reality. Let me say that again. We, as humans, are producing a fake space that mimics our reality almost to a T. Humans are recreating Earth. They are recreating the Matrix within the Matrix. The point is, if they are able to create a reality so detailed that it mimics ours, how do you know our reality isn't a virtual reality? So when I'm saying that, I could literally take a picture of the sky right now, go into Photoshop, and modify it to absolute kingdom come, and say, oh look, I discovered a new planet. Here's the picture. But you can't prove it. You can't go up there. So, here's the picture. You're just gonna have to listen to me. This is space. This is Jupiter. But you're just gonna take my word for it, right? No. The reason I think this, and I'm really not negligent, but I don't want to say the story. I'm just going to be fully transparent. Because I feel like anytime you incorporate drugs, that like throws everything out the window. The second you say drugs, oh, he's fucking crazy, he's on drugs, doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, let me tell you the story. So for those who know, I've been physically having some issues, and I've been taking edibles from time to time to kind of help myself. And, it freaked me the fuck out, alright? I'm gonna be vulnerable with you guys. I can't prove anything. It's not my job to prove to you, nor can I. But one day I took an edible and I astral projected by accident. What I mean is, I wasn't trying to fall asleep, I was just trying to relax. So I took the edible and I felt it kicking in, and I'm literally just kind of kicking back in my bed like this. I'm laying kind of up against the wall, and I'm just feeling into the edible, and I'm kind of relaxing, and then I feel like my body turns off. It's not completely off, I'm still conscious, but I lose motor functions. It's like you're halfway in between sleep, almost like meditation. So you're there, but you're not grounded, you're not in your body. You're projecting. And the reason I believe this, because all of a sudden, I see my body getting smaller. I am sitting there and all of a sudden I'm just seeing myself going up. I'm just like, well, this is weird. This is new. Because I've never consciously astral projected before. That was an accident. I slipped out of my body. And I can see myself, and I saw the earth getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And when I looked up, I could only explain it as a drug trip. I saw everything. I saw colors and sound and... I'm getting anxiety just talking about it. It was a lot to process because what happened next was I actually had a panic attack. My conscious body started kind of waking up, and it's like, what the fuck am I seeing? What is this? What is going on? And I actually started having a panic attack. It's like, I'm astral projecting, so I'm like, this is not okay. My body is having a panic attack, and I'm up in space. This is an experience I can't even explain. Words do not do it justice. And all of a sudden, after my panic attack, everything just went black. I woke up from my nap, and I'm just like, the fuck was that? I remembered everything. So I essentially remember seeing the earth being a bubble. I can't prove anything I just said. It's all pure speculation, and even if you don't believe it, at least it's a fun story. I mean, you get to listen to a crazy person, you know? But yeah, that's the crazy part. Okay. Y'all think I'm crazy now? That's quite alright. I'm okay with that. But at least I got that out. That has been trying to get out of me for the longest time, and I've been so scared about saying it. To be honest with you, I've been freaking out a little bit. And this is where it's going to start sounding even more paranoid. But I've been getting TikTok feeds and YouTube feeds that are talking about what I'm talking about, and then talking about the person disappearing. So I gotta wonder if the government has been threatening me. I know that sounds even crazier than crazy, but I keep getting videos talking about what I'm talking about, like frequencies and how the law of the reality actually works, and it's always a cryptic video saying, oh yeah, this person talked about it, and then they disappeared the next week. And this person opened up their mouth and they disappeared the next week. And I was like, are you guys trying to subject me? Or no, maybe that's not the right word. They're just subjugate. Subjugate's the word I was looking for. They're trying to subjugate me. But again, I have no fucking proof. I just sound like one of those crazy crackpot conspiracy theorists. I can't prove anything. Nothing I say is, I'm sorry. So, if you've made it this far and I disappear, well, there's a good chance the government did it. But I actually don't think they can. So the reality is, everything's just code, everything's just energy. We live in an algorithmic equation. It's called Logos. Check it out. That is the script or the operating system that runs the universe. I'm calling it. I think I'm out of information. And I'm about to throw up. Y'all have a great day.